was a crybaby growing up, always feeling like nothing in his pathetic world ever went his big black way. To make matters worse, his parents were constantly buried in work, leaving him with no attention. Following their divorce, they practically abandoned him, leaving him entirely alone. Whenever Minwoo let his tears flow, the landlord's daughter was always right there to reassure him, offering kind words and telling him everything would be okay. Yet, instead of feeling comforted, this constant attention only made him feel deeply upset. Throughout the neighborhood, she was widely known as a naive fool. She was so generous that she would buy toys for all of Minwoo's friends, leading the other kids to eagerly take advantage of her wealth while secretly mocking her behind her back. She never seemed to care about the gossip though, and constantly tried to look after Minwoo, even encouraging him to drink milk so he would grow taller. However, the constant teasing from other kids made our boy so deeply embarrassed that he ended up lashing out, calling her an old lady and demanding she leave him alone. When she kindly offered him the milk anyway, he knocked it out of her hand in a fit of rage, calling her foolish. Even as she tried to walk him home, he ran off, yelling for her to stay away and calling her names. Minwoo knew deep down that his parents had tasked her with watching over him, and he resented them for forcing this arrangement. No matter how terribly he treated her, whether she was trying to help him clean up, offering overcooked meals, or attempting to assist with his homework as they grew older, she never stopped looking out for him. To our boy, however, her endless care was nothing more than an annoying nuisance. Determined to escape her presence, Minwoo made up his mind to leave town the moment he became an adult. Fast forward to the present day, and he is now 20 years old. Unfortunately, despite his grand plans of independence, absolutely nothing has changed, and he spends his days frustratedly losing at computer games. Living off a meager $500 monthly allowance sent by his father, Minwoo finds himself starving with only $10 left in his wallet. Just as he is wondering how to survive, his savior arrives. The landlord's daughter shows up right on cue, bringing along a delicious bowl of black bean noodles to make sure he is well fed. Minwoo happily digs into the food, thanking her for the meal and asking why she isn't eating any herself. She giggles softly, assuring him that she is fine just watching him eat. Sitting nearby, she quietly waits while Minwoo finishes up. Soon enough, our boy pats his stomach, completely full and satisfied. The landlord's daughter then gets up to head out, mentioning that she should be going. But before she can make her exit, Minwoo calls out for her to wait. As she turns back in confusion, Minwoo speaks up from behind. He cheekily tells her that before she leaves, she needs to do his dishes and prepare his dinner. He playfully teases her to get his way, making her squeal in surprise and quickly agree. Despite her mild protests to step away, she can't help but giggle as he continues to joke around. Shortly after, she happily hums while washing the dishes at the sink. Because her parents moved abroad for business, she was left legally owning the entire apartment building. Thanks to her generous nature, Minwoo has been living in his apartment completely rent-free for the past few years. She is remarkably sweet and trusting, regularly stopping by to cook and clean for him. However, her vast wealth and innocent personality unfortunately made her a prime target for opportunistic people looking to take advantage of her finances. Not long ago, a pair of pushy salespeople cornered her, claiming they were offering a special, once-in-a-lifetime deal because they knew her parents. Completely overwhelmed, she took the contract straight to Minwoo, asking for his guidance. Looking over the documents, Minwoo immediately realized the papers were actually designed to trick her into transferring ownership of her property and taking on someone else's debt. He cautioned her about being so gullible, but ever since he helped her avoid that major scam, she has treated him with utmost respect. In fact, she sweetly calls out his name, expressing her deep gratitude. Bothered by the sudden dramatic display, Minwoo asks her to step back and give him space. Looking down with a heavy sigh, our boy can't help but wonder if she truly understands these complex matters, questioning whether she is just exceptionally naive or genuinely misguided. Just as Minwoo is finishing his conversation with the landlord's daughter, Hari, the front door slams open. In storms Hari's younger sister, Nari, loudly calling out for her sibling. Minwoo remembers that Hari has a younger sister who has openly disliked him since childhood. As Hari stands beside him, our boy internally notes that their rhyming names, Hari and Nari, are about the only organized thing about them. Nari immediately snaps at her sister, warning her not to be so nice to a slacker who is clearly benefiting from their generosity. Offended by the insult, Minwoo responds defensively, pointing out that he is barely older than she is. Nari is quick with her counterattack, demanding to know why he gets to call her own sister an old lady if he is so sensitive about age. Overwhelmed by the shouting, Minwoo covers his ears as Hari desperately tries to play peacemaker, pleading with them not to argue because she put so much effort into preparing a meal for everyone. Hoping to foster some peace, Hari invites them both to sit down and enjoy dinner together. However, Nari is immediately annoyed to find out her sister actually cooked for him, which almost starts another fight. To ease the tension, Hari proudly points out that she even prepared the rolled omelets that Minwoo loves so much. Not wanting to be left out, Nari quickly claims that she loves them too, snatching one up with her chopsticks. This immediately upsets Minwoo, who complains that she is taking his food. Despite the bickering, they both dig in, and Hari happily watches them eat. Minwoo admits that after dropping out of college, he has mostly just been wasting his time away. Back in his room, he sits idly on his bed while Hari diligently wipes the floor. He acts like a demanding boss, reminding her not to miss the corners, to which she cheerfully agrees while wringing out her wet cleaning rag. While she cleans, Minwoo taps away on his phone, texting his friends. One of his buddies asks if there is anything fun going on, mentioning a friend who recently went through a breakup and is looking to make new acquaintances. When Minwoo jokingly replies that he only has an older acquaintance hanging around his place, his friend quickly shoots back that he is crazy, pointing out that she is actually exceptionally pretty. Minwoo looks over at Hari, perhaps starting to see her in a slightly different light as she smiles warmly back at him. As Hari cheerfully hums while wiping the floor, she ends up working right in front of Minwoo, completely blocking his view. Annoyed by her lingering right there, Minwoo firmly prompts her to go clean somewhere else. Hari gasps in surprise, flustered by the sudden demand, but sweetly promises she is almost finished with her chores. Minwoo turns his attention back to his phone, only to receive a notification from his friend sharing a fitness tutorial video featuring an older instructor. He jokingly texts back, asking if it is an overseas production and calling his friend crazy, since he claims to be busy working. Even so, curiosity gets the better of him, and he plugs in his earphones to watch the video. The clip starts with an instructor wearing glasses who is startled by a group of young men returning home early. The group cheekily announces they heard she is offering a private PT session, and they are eager to learn from her. A whole lineup of excited participants wait in anticipation as the flustered instructor covers her mouth, noting that this special workout was supposed to be a personal study session for only one person. Minwoo's friend texts him again, pointing out how the setup in the video is surprisingly similar to Minwoo's own living situation with Hari. However, our boy is a harsh critic, texting back that the scenario is completely unrealistic. He adds that the actress is not his type, prompting his friends to spam the chat, teasing him for losing his mind and blaming his bad taste on being single for too long. Minwoo looks at his phone, genuinely wondering if the instructor is actually supposed to be that attractive. Suddenly, a loud splash breaks his train of thought, making Minwoo jump in absolute shock. He looks over to see that Hari has accidentally tripped over the cleaning bucket, spilling water all over the floor. Soaked from head to toe, Hari apologizes profusely, looking completely flustered as she complains about being entirely wet. As Minwoo stares at her, he undergoes a sudden realization. Seeing Hari wet, flushed, and apologetic triggers a comparison in his mind, making him realize that she looks remarkably like the instructor from his video. Minwoo is completely stunned by the sudden turn of events, taken entirely by surprise. He experiences a sudden realization, genuinely wondering if she was always this exceptionally pretty. Before he can even process his thoughts, Hari begins changing out of her soaking wet shirt right in front of him. Startled and taken aback, Minwoo frantically demands to know what on earth she is doing. Hari, completely unbothered, simply smiles and asks if he can provide her with some dry clothes to wear. Standing there in her base layer, she cheerfully adds that she will go ahead and wipe up the spilled water on the floor. At that exact same time, Minwoo's friends are hanging out together. Wang Ki-jung, the group's playboy, is highly annoyed because Minwoo completely stopped replying to his messages right after being sent a fitness video. Soohan Kim, the social elite of the group, tells him to just forget about him. He points out that Minwoo always acts this way, only reaching out when he needs something and constantly claiming he is too broke to join them for drinks. Wang Ki jokingly suggests that Minwoo probably got too invested in the video and is busy chatting with his landlord. This crude remark immediately draws an annoyed reaction from Yina Kim, the group's party girl, who demands he use better language, prompting a quick apology from Wang Ki. The conversation then shifts to just how attractive Minwoo's landlord actually is. One of the friends recalls when she warmly greeted them and offered them rice cake soup, admitting he found her presence remarkably memorable. While Wang Ki laughs it off, the group continues to gossip about her personal life, speculating about her past and wondering if she and Minwoo spend a lot of time together. They even mention how pretty her younger sister is. As everyone talks, Minwoo's childhood friend, Seoko Heo, sits in complete silence. The others notice his serious expression and laugh, urging him to say something since he knows Minwoo best. But Seoko suddenly slams his glass onto the table in anger, telling them to stop saying strange things about Hari. His sudden outburst leaves Wang Ki and Yina completely baffled, wondering what is wrong with him. Before they can get an answer, Soko's face flushes red. He collapses face first onto the table and mutters a surprising confession. He actually asked her to hang out. This revelation sends shockwaves through the entire table, leaving his friends completely stunned and noting that Minwoo has no idea about any of this. Eager for details, Wang Ki urges Soko for answers, demanding to know when it happened and if she actually agreed. Rather than answering, Soko simply smiles with quiet confidence. Meanwhile, back at the apartment, the focus shifts back to Hari. Standing there after changing out of her wet shirt, she calls out to Minwoo, sheepishly explaining once again that she spilled water all over herself. Hari softly asks Minwoo to give her something dry to change into. Stunned and completely flustered, Minwoo has no idea how to react. In a panic, he snaps at her, demanding to know why she thinks he would have extra clothing lying around his place, before calling her foolish. His harsh words make Hari flinch in surprise. Feeling too overwhelmed to stay in the room, Minwoo steps out, huffing under his breath. Now alone in another room, Minwoo searches through his dresser. He lets out a heavy sigh, realizing how unnecessary it is to react so strongly. His embarrassment soon turns into guilt as he realizes he let his nerves get the best of him and raised his voice for no good reason. Remembering that she only got soaked because she was busy cleaning his messy apartment, he decides he needs to apologize to her and offer her a drink. With a clean set of old clothes in hand, Minwoo slides the door open. He calls out, telling her she can just wear some of his oversized old clothes. But the moment he steps inside, his jaw instantly drops in absolute shock. Scattered across the bedroom floor are her soaking wet clothes. Minwoo looks up to find Hari resting comfortably on his bed, wearing his baggy beige t-shirt. Completely surprised, Minwoo calls out, asking why on earth she took off all of her wet attire. Unbothered by his sudden volume, Hari casually replies that her base layers were wet as well, so it only made sense to change out of those two. Before Minwoo can even process the situation, he notices what she is holding. He is shocked to see that she has his phone in her hands. To make matters 10 times worse, the fitness tutorial video his friend sent him earlier is still playing on the screen. Our boy internally panics, frantically wondering why in the world she is watching such a personal study session video. With a completely innocent expression, Hari looks up at him and points out that the video was already playing on his phone when she found it. Overcome with embarrassment, Minwoo calls out in desperation. Hari just stares back at him with a sweet, naive look, completely oblivious to his panic. Minwoo immediately takes the phone out of Hari's hands, asking why she is looking at his device. Flustered, he tells her to put her dry clothes on and asks why she is watching someone else's personal video. Internally, our boy is in a panic, wondering how much of the video she actually saw and whether she read his private chat messages as well. Hari rests on the bed, processing the situation and realizing that the video was indeed a personal study session. As a heavy silence fills the room, Minwoo quietly looks down at his phone while Hari notices his tense expression, realizing how flustered he has become. Instead of being bothered, Hari speaks up to reassure him. She kindly tells him that she does not think it is strange at all that he enjoys private PT classes. Standing nearby, she cheerfully declares that he is an adult now and explains that taking an interest in standard fitness routines is completely normal. She tells him not to feel embarrassed and offers to let him talk to her about his private gym sessions whenever he wants. However, Minwoo has had enough of her teasing. He abruptly asks her to stand back, placing himself between her and the door. Looking over at her, he demandingly asks what is wrong with her, who she thinks she is, and why she cannot just mind her own business for once. Despite his firm tone, Hari looks up at him with a gentle expression. She softly stammers that she is just really proud of how much he has grown, adding that she still finds his stubbornness endearing. This comment only makes Minwoo's expression darken. Standing firm, his voice turns deep and serious as he asks if he still looks like a kid to her. Hari's heart begins to beat fast. She weakly stammers that he does not seem like a kid at all, internally surprised by how mature our boy has become. Just as the tension in the room reaches a peak, the sudden beep of the front door's electronic lock cuts through the silence, instantly snapping Minwoo back to reality. Hearing the lock beep, Hari and Minwoo freeze in surprise. Outside, the sound of laughter and chatter approaches as Nari and her high school friends return home on their graduation day. Her friends are happily talking about how hilarious their principal's 5-second final speech was and complaining that none of their family showed up to celebrate. They call out as they step through the front door, wondering if anyone is home. One of Nari's friends nervously asks if it is really okay to walk in like this, but Nari confidently assures her that the resident does not even pay rent anyway. As they explore the apartment, her blonde friend looks down at the floor and spots a pink garment, pointing it out to Nari. The brunette friend immediately wonders if Minwoo has a guest over, while the blonde friend sits on the couch, holding up the item and speculating if he has a girlfriend. Nari rests on the sofa, highly doubting he has a girlfriend, and quietly wondering whose item it actually is. The friends burst into laughter, joking about various silly explanations and playfully chatting back and forth. Hidden away in the dark, cramped closet, Minwoo and Hari overhear everything. Minwoo feels completely overwhelmed by the girls' conversations as they laugh outside. He can hear them making plans to watch a movie and asking what snacks they bought. Meanwhile, the closet is exceptionally hot and stuffy. Minwoo stays silent nearby, whispering for her not to move. He internally expresses his frustration, wondering why Nari had to choose this exact moment to come home with her friends. Unable to stay in the tight space any longer, Hari whispers, asking if they can just walk out and face them. Minwoo is shocked by her suggestion, asking if she has lost her mind and pointing out what the girls would assume if they stepped out like this. When Hari looks back in confusion, Minwoo's face flushes a deep red. He struggles to find the words, realizing that if they are caught, everyone will assume they were busy holding a private study session. He explains that the girls will definitely think they were having a personal study session in the closet. However, Hari simply giggles and dismisses the idea, reassuring him that Nari knows nothing like that could ever happen between the two of them. Before they can debate any further, a sudden loud crash echoes from the living room, startling the girls on the couch and instantly ramping up the tension once again. The sudden noise immediately catches the girls' attention. The brunette friend looks back, wondering what that sound was, while the blonde friend points toward Minwoo's bedroom, guessing the noise came from that direction. Eager to find out, they suggest going to check it out. Meanwhile, Nari sits on the couch in complete silence, quietly eating a snack. Rather than joining her friend's excitement, she remains completely quiet and thoughtful, letting the tension build as her friends prepare to investigate the mysterious sound. Minwoo's mind then drifts back to a painful childhood memory. After getting into a rough fight, a young Minwoo sat silently in a room, his face covered in bruises and bandages. Nearby, another kid's mother comforted her sobbing son, acknowledging his anger while gently scolding him for hitting his friend. After her son tearfully apologized and confirmed he had said sorry to Minwoo, the mother proudly praised him as a good boy. Smiling, she thanked the school staff, noting that fighting is just a natural part of growing up, before cheerfully taking her son out to celebrate with some dinner, leaving young Minwoo sitting completely alone. As evening approached, Minwoo watched other children walk home happily with their parents. Back inside, the school staff whispered among themselves, wondering if his parents were ever going to pick him up, and realizing they could not even reach them. They questioned whether his parents cared about him at all, quietly warning each other to keep their voices down so he wouldn't hear. Just as young Minwoo sat in hopeless silence, the door suddenly slammed open. A youthful Hari rushed in, breathless from running all the way there. Stunned, young Minwoo could only stare as she offered him comfort. Crying, she apologized for being late and warmly promised to take him out for dinner too, finally giving him the care he had been waiting for. This memory of Hari constantly looking after him throughout his youth transitions back to the present day. Now that they are both adults, Minwoo and Hari walk down the street together while Minwoo quietly contemplates how much their dynamic has changed. The daydream is suddenly shattered by a loud bang. In the real world, Nari storms directly into the bedroom. Pointing angrily, she calls out for him, demanding to know if he is hiding in there. Back inside the dark, stuffy closet, Minwoo and Hari stand side by side as Minwoo frantically panics, wondering if Nari has actually found their hiding spot. Inside the hot closet, Minwoo frantically panics, wondering what they should do. He is deeply worried that Nari will completely get the wrong idea if she catches them in such an awkward location. Meanwhile, outside the room, one of Nari's friends cautiously asks if it is really okay to hang out at someone else's place like this, suggesting they should just go play video games instead. This comment sets Nari off, and she responds crossly, reminding her friend that the apartment actually belongs to her older sister. Determined to find him, Nari storms toward the bedroom while her friends call after her. She kicks the door wide open, loudly demanding to know if Minwoo is having a private study session inside. When she is met with absolute silence, her friends watch nervously from behind. Nari stands with her arms crossed, mockingly asking if he is seriously going to pretend he is not in there. Refusing to just stand around, she decides to take matters into her own hands and heads straight for the closet. As Nari slowly pulls the closet door open, she is determined not to let him get away with spilling his sports drink all over the closet. However, as the door creaks open, her eyes go wide with shock. Instead of finding Minwoo alone, she discovers her older sister, Hari, crouching inside and offering a highly nervous greeting. Completely dumbfounded, Nari can only gasp in disbelief at the sight of her own sister. Hari sheepishly steps out of the closet while Nari immediately demands an explanation. To cover their tracks, Minwoo quickly chimes in, pointing out that Hari got wet while cleaning his place. Hari eagerly plays along, explaining that she fell into the closet while trying to borrow his clothes, and the two ended up tangled together just trying to get out. Hari nervously turns to Minwoo for backup, and though the excuse is incredibly thin, Minwoo decides it is best to go along with it for now. Sitting on the couch, Nari's friends whisper to each other, doubting the story makes any sense at all, while Nari stands nearby with a dark, furious aura. Unable to contain her rage, Nari confronts Minwoo, angrily demanding to know why her sister keeps cleaning his place since she is clearly not his maid. Minwoo immediately pushes back, calling her a troublemaker and pointing out that she should not be drinking alcohol as a high schooler. Nari fiercely fires back, declaring that she is drinking for the first time because she is finally an adult now, but Minwoo sarcastically advises her to change out of her school uniform before making such a bold claim. Seeing the chaos unfold, Nari's friends quietly begin to tiptoe out of the apartment, nervously announcing that they are heading home and asking Nari to message them later. Nari feels disappointed to see her friends leaving so early, pointing out that she thought they were going to stay up all night watching movies. However, her friends quickly make their exit, shouting that they should watch them later at Danby's house instead. As they wave goodbye to Hari and Minwoo, they sprint out the door. Minwoo watches them leave and decides it is only right to entertain the guests while they are visiting. Remembering a previous conversation, he speaks up, noting that he heard them talking about playing a popular game called Oversea. The girls look back in surprise, confirming that they do play. Seizing the opportunity, Minwoo confidently grins and reveals that he is actually a top-ranked player, asking if they would like to play with him. This unexpected invitation leaves Nari absolutely speechless and furious in the background. Soon enough, the friends gather around Minwoo on the couch, completely thrilled as they watch him dominate the game. They praise him, declaring that he is incredibly talented. Minwoo modestly chuckles, explaining that his skills are only because he spends all his time eating and playing the game, though the girls quickly assure him that gaming is a real skill. Pleased with the attention, Minwoo smoothly tells them to let him know if anyone ever bothers them, promising to handle it on their behalf. This leaves the girls giggling, quietly whispering about how impressive he is. Meanwhile, over in the kitchen, Hari and Nari hear all the lively chatter and giggling from the living room. Hari looks back with a slight pout, remarking on how popular Minwoo is with the other girls. Nari dismisses it immediately, acting like she could not care less. Still, Hari lets out a discontented sigh as she prepares some bread on a plate. Noticing her sister's sudden downturn in mood, Nari asks why she looks so down. Looking noticeably dejected, Hari quietly mutters that she wishes Nari had arrived home just a little bit later. Nari turns around, confused, and asks her sister what she just said. Flustered, Hari quickly backtracks, claiming it was nothing. But Nari is not completely convinced. Holding a kitchen knife, Nari stands in silence for a moment before turning directly to her sister. With a serious expression, Nari bluntly asks Hari if she happens to have special feelings for Minwoo. Nari stands nearby and continues her interrogation, suspiciously asking her sister if she truly did nothing but change her clothes while they were inside that closet. Blushing and anxious, Hari stammers nervously, insisting that of course she was only changing. Desperate to change the subject, she suddenly blurts out that they have completely run out of ground garlic. Nari responds by firmly chopping a cucumber on the board with a chef's knife, making Hari jump in surprise. Glaring intently, Nari growls, demanding her sister tell her she does not actually care for him, and questioning why she is trying so hard to change the subject. Hari frantically waves her hands, desperately claiming that she does not feel that way at all, and asking why on earth she would ever view Minwoo like that. Nari calmly points out that the entire situation is highly unusual. She reminds her sister that she has always been uncomfortable around men, yet she never acts distant around Minwoo, practically spending her entire day with him. Nari adds that while she understood her sister watching out for him when they were younger, still doing so now is surprisingly unusual. Nari suggests that perhaps it is because Minwoo feels more like a family member than anyone else. Hari quickly agrees, blushing as she mutters that she only feels comfortable around him and simply wants to look after him. Hearing this, Nari's suspicion completely melts away. She smiles warmly and offers her sister a reassuring gesture, apologizing for being so suspicious. Hari blushes with a slight hint of guilt, silently wondering if she is actually doing the right thing by hiding the truth. Suddenly, loud laughter from the living room cuts through the air. The two sisters look in unison toward the couch, where Nari's friends are playfully begging Minwoo to do it again just to annoy the other players. Minwoo gladly obliges, leaving the girls completely thrilled. Nari feels highly annoyed, remarking on how surprisingly well he gets along with her friends. For Hari, seeing him receive so much attention triggers a sudden wave of intense jealousy. Watching the scene, she feels she cannot remain there any longer and quickly dashes out of the room. Moving quickly out of the kitchen, Hari approaches Minwoo from behind. Flustered and completely ignoring his surprise, she loudly announces that she is going to the grocery store and demands he tag along to carry the bags. Behind them, Nari watches the chaotic scene unfold with a silent, suspicious gaze. Hoping to stay, Minwoo turns to Nari's friends and asks if they can go shopping later. However, the friends object, complaining that they are having way too much fun hanging out on the couch. Undeterred, Hari blushes and insists they must go, pointing out that today is the very last day of the sale at the local market. Reluctantly, Minwoo finds himself pushing a red shopping cart through the aisles of the grocery store, quietly muttering about how annoying the chore is. He looks back to ask Hari if they need to buy ground garlic, but finds her completely lost in thought. Hari stands in a daze, her face turning red as she vividly remembers the details from the study session tutorial video on his phone. Realizing she simply cannot get the educational video out of her head. Noticing her blank stare, Minwoo speaks up and asks what she is doing, demanding to know why she is spacing out. Calling her name makes Hari jump in shock, leaving her completely flustered as she snaps back to reality. Later that night, the subtle tension continues to linger. Minwoo lies awake in his bed, staring blankly at his ceiling. He finds himself unable to stop thinking about Hari, recalling her flustered expression during their wholesome PT lesson. He rolls over with a heavy sigh, genuinely wondering why she seems so focused lately, and questioning how memorable she can possibly be. As he tosses and turns, Minwoo suddenly realizes he forgot to give her the bag of ground garlic they bought earlier. Deciding it is best to deliver it to her right away, he grabs the plastic grocery bag and quietly tiptoes out of his bedroom. He creeps down the dark hallway, silently wondering if both of the sisters are already asleep. With a quiet clink of the bag, he enters the dark kitchen, letting out a soft sigh as he prepares to leave the groceries on the counter. While our boy stands in the dark hallway, he suddenly hears a faint sound coming from nearby. He stops in his tracks, completely confused by the strange noise. As the soft sound continues to echo through the silence, his attention is drawn directly toward the bedroom door, which is slightly cracked open. Our boy quietly wonders to himself if she is simply having a rough time organizing the room. Hoping to clear things up, he lightly pushes the door open and calls out, asking if she is still awake and letting her know that he left the ground garlic on the desk. The moment he steps inside, his jaw instantly drops in shock. He catches Hari in the middle of a very intense private PT session. She is catching her breath and sweating, her face flushed as she leans against the wall. Breathing heavily, Hari slowly turns her head, completely startled to find our boy looking right at her. Hari slams the door shut in a panic, calling out his name and insisting she was just in the middle of a private nightly stretch. Outside, our boy staggers back, realizing whatever he just walked in on is already finished. He admits to himself that he has known her for a very long time. The memory hits him hard. Back when they were kids, young Hari runs after a group of boys, demanding they return her belongings while they tease her. She tries to defend herself, only for the boys to keep poking fun at her. Hari cries out in distress, then turns to young Minwoo, asking if he heard everything. When he stays quiet, she sobs, wondering how he could just stand there. Minwoo speaks up and insists he noticed nothing at all, walking her away while the other kids yell after them. Back in the present, our boy taps the wall and starts to step toward the exit. Hari asks if he is leaving. Alone in his room later, he lies in bed thinking about how she is usually far too shy for an intense workout like what he just witnessed. He suddenly sits up in shock, trying to convince himself that it does not matter if she is doing a gym sesh and that none of it has anything to do with him. Still, the thought will not leave him alone. He keeps picturing her smiling face, wondering who she did her gym session with and where it even happened. A strange emotion overwhelms him. It is not jealousy and he does not feel betrayed, yet he still cannot sleep. Frustrated, he decides the only way to calm down is to watch some fitness tutorials, already imagining Hari in the middle of the screen. Our boy's imagination runs wild as he stares at his phone, picturing Hari offering to help with a personal study session. He freezes in surprise, certain it is her, only to realize a second later that the instructor is not Hari at all. He cannot figure out why every study video suddenly reminds him of her. Ever since that night, his mind has been completely occupied with thoughts of Hari. It feels almost overwhelming. On the bus the next day, the same issue follows him. He keeps imagining her calling his name while he sits there glued to his phone. His friends notice him looking flustered, wonder what is wrong with him, and mention that they have arrived and should step off. These are already confusing times for our boy, but nothing prepares him for the unexpected news that is about to drop. Later, the whole group gathers for drinks and cheers. Everyone is happy to be hanging out again, joking about suddenly being called family. They notice even quiet Minwoo has shown up. The girls chat about how long it has been since they last saw him and ask if someone brought the drinks. Minwoo just sits there, thinking he only came to get his mind off Hari, yet the place is far too loud. Someone points out that Minwoo looks like he is about to cry, while another friend guesses it is just a headache. Then the real question hits. Is it true that his landlady and Seoko are going out? The news hits our boy like a bomb, and he demands to know what that is supposed to mean. The redhead calmly says she heard they are dating. Our boy presses her on who told her that, and she answers that Seoko himself said he asked her out. She adds that she is pretty sure they are together now, and that everybody already knows. Minwoo sits in stunned silence, realizing Hari never told him anything about it. His mind fills with images of Soko and Hari looking happy together. Unable to take any more, he stands up, announces he is leaving, and walks away. His friends call after him asking where he is going, but the door simply closes behind him. They sigh about his sudden exit. Back at the table, the redhead wonders out loud if they are really sure Soko is dating her. Someone else reacts with surprise that he might not be. Another friend points out that Soko has no actual dating experience, and if he really were going out with someone, he would already be bragging about it. Yet he has not said a single word. The redhead at the table reacts with wide-eyed surprise at the idea that Soko might not actually be dating Hari. Meanwhile, our boy walks down the apartment stairs, grumbling to himself about whatever those guys were talking about. He cannot picture Syoko and Hari together at all, yet his mind still fills with unwanted images of the two of them spending time together, her looking cheerful while calling his name. The thoughts only make him more frustrated. He keeps walking alone through the hallway, sighing and asking himself what is wrong with him. Why should he even care if the two of them are dating or not? He holds his phone tightly, wondering what has him so worked up. Suddenly, the phone buzzes.